They're loud, they're messy, and when they gather, they can be intimidating. We get asked about crows in downtown Portland every year. So let's get to the bottom of it. What's up with the crows? Every year between October and March, a growing number of crows flock to the city because it has everything they need.
They have very stable, predictable food sources, very, very few predators in the urban area, lots of places to roost, lots of places to nest. It provides a very stable habitat for them. About
10,000 American crows roost in these trees every night.
Crows gather during the winter in very, very large numbers at night, and the reason they do that is that there's safety in numbers. It also provides them with warmth. These communal roosts are also communication centers, and they'll learn from each other where food sources are and follow one another, so it helps them find food.
But as their population grows, so do the complaints about them.
There was crow droppings on benches and artwork and just really looked unsightly. We also had one building where the birds were actually pulling some of the insulation out of the roof and dropping it on the sidewalk below. Some of the hotels have talked about the noise as well, that when they wake up at about 5 in the morning, they are a noisy, vocal bird, and that their guests were complaining about the noise.
Some cities have tried to push crows away with things like pyrotechnics and lasers. In 2016, Portland tried to tackle the crow dropping issue with the Poop Master 6000. It's a sidewalk scrubber whose name didn't really match its effectiveness.
It really is frustrating to pressure wash and make the sidewalks look great and then to have the crows drop first thing in the morning.
So Portland's trying something new.
This is Clive. He is a 7-month-old Harris hawk.
For $60,000 a season, not much more than that Poop Master, a 4-member crew flies their hawks around a 72-block area of downtown Portland to intimidate crows out of the city.
We bring predators down here and we release them. They fly around, they follow us around in the trees, they land on top of the buildings and the street lamps, and it's an extreme threat to the crows. Just their presence is intimidating enough that the crows will move away from us.
And so far, it's working. But as much of a nuisance these urban crows might be, they're actually really smart.
They're fascinating birds. They're one of the most intelligent birds that we have.
A lot of these standard things that we test humans on, crows have been tested in those same exact psychological paradigms, and they usually, come out somewhere as a 5 to 7-year-old kid.
This video in Japan shows a crow placing a shelled nut in busy traffic because it knows the passing cars will crack it open.
Pushed it.
Some crows know how to use tools to gather food. Others understand the effects of volume displacement. And a study in which researchers wore masks, including this Dick Cheney one, showed that crows can recognize dangerous faces.
They've learned through social means that this guy is dangerous, and they react quite strongly whenever they see him.
Crow intelligence is sort of unending. They gather around their dead to learn about danger, and some scientists believe they can count. Crows were even the center of a TED Talk in 2008.
It turns out that crows aren't just surviving with human beings, they're actually really thriving.
Where the speaker discovered that crows can be trained to deposit coins in what he calls crow vending machines for nuts.
The main point of all this for me is that we can find mutually beneficial systems for these species. We can find ways to interact with these other species that doesn't involve exterminating them, but involves finding an equilibrium with them that's a useful balance.
And a Dutch startup is trying to use that same strategy to get crows to pick up cigarette butts in big cities in exchange for food. But until we too can figure out how to use these smart birds to our advantage, a lot of them are going to have to live somewhere else.
Really, the challenge is how to manage the conflicts between people and birds that are doing what they feel they need to do to be safe.
We should consider them, part of our landscape. Stop, look up, and enjoy it.